Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
All right.
All right, now to business.
Yes, if you're sticking around on the live, I see there's a couple people in here. Episode 241 here.
Yeah. A lot of things going on. I mean, should we talk about Diddy? Should we talk about Biden not filling up the gas reserves?
I actually like that move. I like that one.
Should we talk about the earthquake and people freaking out?
So it's Friday night. We are live. This episode will be coming out as soon as possible. And other things, we are going to be doing an eclipse podcast on Monday night live as well with Garrett.
After the eclipse, not during. It'll be at night. It's more going to be a conspiracy episode because there's just so much surrounding this eclipse. And after today, it's only grown.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll be chatting about that on Monday night. Shout out to Garrett. I mean, there was an earthquake today. Maybe we could talk a little bit about the earthquake today. That was fun. Not something I was expecting. I know that's kind of like a win in Garrett's column, definitely, that he's going to be bringing on Monday night.
And apparently the epicenter of it was at the center of Trump's golf course in New Jersey.
What are the fucking odds, man? What a time to be alive. There,
You said something today that you were like, it's insane because like a natural disaster happened and people online are like, was this an earthquake or was this a malfunction? Was this a machine being opened up in CERNs and creating this black hole and stuff? And you were like, no other administration has ever like lost
or just
like the people like this.
I was thinking about that. I think Garrett sent us Andrew Torba had a tweet of like, was this planned or was this a natural phenomenon? And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, man, what a problem that has burst upon the scene for the regime, for just I was trying to talk about it, just like the state in general and like the history of nation states with humans have propaganda and they try to manipulate the public and whatnot. We've now gotten to the point in human society where people don't even believe if earthquakes are real or not. And I was just sitting there, I'm like, wow, what a problem. Nation states have probably never had to deal with this problem before, where they can't, like, there's been violent revolutions, of course, right? And people have overthrown governments and people have, of course, questioned the government. But to the level we're at now, where, I mean, there was a huge portion of at least this society here in America that doesn't even believe if an earthquake is real.
A bridge could fall, it's a conspiracy. An earthquake takes place, it's a conspiracy. It's not our fault. There is a level of hive mind thinking to it. There is a level of an occult to it for sure. But it's not our fault. Go back to episode 2, Iowa coronas. I mean, literally, we watched Iowa go to Bernie Sanders, and then the newscaster was like, wait. Joe Biden won.
Yeah, the primary.
You know what I mean? Like, and then like everything with COVID was pretty much a farce, a lie, whatever. I don't know if we could even say that.
Reading right now a Diary of a Psychosis by Tom Woods, where he kind of explains and kept a diary the whole time and compares it to like what they were saying and what's actually now with like benefit of hindsight, and not even necessarily the benefit of hindsight. Very interesting. Go check that out if anybody has a chance. Diary of a Psychosis.
I mean, we had Russia agents. Russia colluded with Trump. The FISA documents that were a scam. Hunter Biden is innocent and has no connections to Ukraine and Russia and China. Joe Biden didn't accept any bribes. Joe Biden didn't shower with his daughter and all this stuff.
I saw that making rounds.
Yeah, there's no immigration problem. We have a good economy. This, that, and the next. The establishment and the powers that be have backed themselves into such a corner and lost so many people that an earthquake takes place and people are like, you know what? There's definitely a machine that makes earthquakes.
Yeah,
and this is how they're going to get us.
And some of that shit annoys me sometimes. As me and Garrett will be going back and forth, I'm sure, on Monday night. But just like I'm talking about, just like the bare bones concept of that. I don't know if it's ever been to this level before. I can maybe make the I know Garrett made the comparison to like the French Revolution, which was very bloody, and he referenced like Marie Antoinette. But like violence has always happened against governments and revolutions always happen. The only thing I could perhaps, which I've made this comparison before, compare it to is like the collapse of the Soviet Union, where the government lied so brazenly for so many years that people didn't believe anything anymore, to the point where it just
it fell apart.
like the news broadcasts were like a laughing joke amongst the population now, where it was just like people would just like, yeah, you know, whatever. But it's different now
because the media is a laughing stock.
Yeah, right. They pushed themselves or painted themselves into that corner.
Yeah.
It's different now though, because we have the double-edged sword of social media to kind of like spread that idea, and like, you know, like as I said, like it's a double-edged sword. They could use weaponized social media, you know, to propagate a narrative, but then it could also be torn apart by, you know, in the social media space. Especially now that there's like some alternatives in Twitter and all these other things. Very interesting times to be working in, man.
Yeah,
you know,
tough times.
Eclipses, earthquakes, fires. Remember that last year, the fire in New York City.
That's the other. I mean, the Statue of Liberty got struck by lightning. The cicadas are coming back. The eclipse is here. We're getting earthquakes. NASA's shooting missiles into the sun, into the moon, or whatever. They're little
while the eclipse is happening.
And of course they named the project after like the sun deity of like gods and stuff. It's biblical. It's weird. And then even that like cross section of where the last eclipse and this eclipse is, there's that triangle, and then I think where the X is made, it ends up being over like some town that's like listed, like spoken about in the Bible or whatever. Ridiculous stuff.
We'll try and I know we're excited about the eclipse, so we'll try and keep the chatter about that to Monday. We'll save our bullets for that one. Yeah, you know, it was an interesting week, man, and there are so many things happening every day lately. It was a little bit of a quiet week, but I am feeling a little bit fatigued, so I thought we'd have a little bit of a good time here. We're kind of just winging it and not as structured as me and Captain normally are when it's just me and the captain. But I thought one of the main topics we could discuss is this thing that's now really become prevalent or like in the discussion is the squatters' rights, or just the squatters in general, especially in New York. I have a video here about 3 minutes from CBS2 that we could play. I know you have a story. Want to go with the video first? Or you want to go with the personal story?
But like the squatters' rights stuff is just another government piss poor policy that, you know, screws over the businessman, screws over the working class man, gives all the power to the criminal. Squatting is very hard. I have a little bit of a background in real estate.
And squatting, I was gonna say, Captain's has been living in people's houses for the last couple of years.
But you know, it's an insane crime that you can just legally get away with and screw the homeowner over. And if the homeowner retaliates in any way, they get arrested like automatically. It's just, this is one of the biggest piss poor policies that you could imagine.
Interesting. So like you could take the blue pill, which is the captain's perspective here, and it's like it's bad policy. And then you could take the red pill, which is my probably opinion of this. And I'm thinking back to like what we were just talking about, the Soviet Union. I know you're going to probably agree that it's nefarious, but I see something like this. It is New York. New York has always had bad laws and things like this. But I see something like this as an example of institutionalized Marxism in a way, where they're writing things into law that favor communism and Marxism. And one of the things that communists and Marxists do not value is private property. Right. And I've mentioned this 1,000 times lately because I just finished reading Solzhenitsyn's Gulag Archipelago.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah. Let me bring up what the because I tweeted about this not long ago when AOC was
bitching and moaning
about something like this. About AOC was saying that people are shoplifting because they need bread for their kids. And I just tweeted Solzhenitsyn's quote from the book where he said, it was found both useful and amusing that they were enemies of private property and therefore a revolutionary force which had to be guided into the mainstream of the proletariat. That's Alexander Solzhenitsyn. So what is he talking about? He's talking about like thieves in the Gulag Archipelago and criminals. They were useful to the Soviet regime, right? Because the thieves inherently don't value private property. Squatters obviously don't value private property.
It's almost strange because once you become a squatter, that becomes your private property that cannot be infringed upon.
Well, I don't know. I have a counter to that, but that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. That these things are being codified into law in certain areas, and they're like the slow tide of erosion of the fundamental concepts of liberty and private property in America. And most people are probably not thinking of it that way. Maybe I'm a bit too down the rabbit hole on that one, but I think there might be something to that. I don't know.
No, I don't disagree.
I don't think the Soviets outright said that at the time. Like, yeah, we like the criminals. They're good. They're going to help us out. No, they threw the criminals in prison as well, or to the gulag as well. But they knew that like quietly, they knew that the criminals were like inching things closer in the direction that they wanted to cause. You could use another New York City example because this is going to be from New York, of the Daniel Penny case. Where the guy, the drug addict crackhead on the homeless guy on the subway was threatening to kill people, and then the former Marine choked him out and he died.
Yeah.
And they want to like crucify the guy for that. So like there's another example of that. You can't even defend yourself or other people. Like
self-defense is bad.
A good Samaritan doing something is going to be, possibly, I don't know. We'll keep an eye on the outcome of that, but he might go to jail for a long time for something like that. That's in New York City. Hard to not think that there's something behind that quietly. Like they're not outright.
Well, squatters' rights isn't like a new thing, though. This has been going on for a long time. This
plan has been going on a long time, but you're just seeing the fruits now. So you want me to play this, and
then we'll talk about it. And while we're playing this, I'm going to open up the door so I can breathe again.
Go for it. Okay, so interesting. Another point I want to make. This is from CBS 2. Can you, as Captain's walking around here, could you ever envision, Cap, CNN running a story like this? Could you ever see like CNN or MSNBC? I don't know. I haven't seen if they run anything on this, but I just can't see them running anything about this.
Anti-squatters?
Like, or even just covering it, but the local news would. So that's like another example of how like local is better. Like they'll actually cover a story that might be impacting people in the neighborhood. Where like the large apparatuses of the corporate press will probably not touch this, or if they do, I guarantee you probably in like some dismissive way. So it's about 3 minutes. I was pondering if we should just clip it out or watch the whole thing, but I think we should watch the whole thing because they provide a lot of context, which is interesting. Comment anytime you want. If anybody wants to jump in the comments, feel free.
A growing problem in the city and a nightmare for landlords, squatters, who take advantage of laws that allow them to live rent-free as the lengthy court process plays out. CBS 2 political reporter Marsha Kramer here in studio with an issue in desperate need of a solution.
Been around forever at
well,
CBS
Christine,
2.
You're right. I recently had a conversation with a friend whose mother died, leaving her a house in Queens. Now, it should have been an easy sell, the house and the bank inheritance, but it wasn't. She was terrified squatters would see an empty house, move in, and she wouldn't be able to get them out. And she's not alone. Squatters have victimized many, many New Yorkers who say something just has to be done.
My tenants only pay me 1 month's rent. They know the game. They know after 30 days, you cannot evict them.
No court case should go 7 years.
Why can't you just change the locks?
Oh, I will be arrested instantly.
They turned off the hot water and then reported that they had no hot water. It's a $250 fine per day, up to $15,000. Punishable by 5 years in jail.
So here you are. You have to pay the upkeep of the house.
Right. I paid
and not getting any rent?
I'm not getting any rent, and I'm paying the gas and electric every month.
4 stories repeated over and over and over again by irate and often unwitting property owners. Worry lines marking their faces, who came to see Councilwoman Vicky Palladino's office desperately seeking help. Hong Chen has spent thousands trying unsuccessfully to get the squatters out of this home in Mazpath. John Sokran using his pension money for expenses on this College Point home he hoped would provide retirement income. And Susan Mascara, who has used up her savings paying for 7 years of upkeep on this Bayside home she inherited from her mother.
I'm in debt. My credit cards are pretty much maxed out.
Some of them make me cry. All I want to do is make things better.
Councilwoman Vicky Palladino says part of the solution is to change the law, which allows people to claim squatters' rights after living in a place for 30 days. She wants it changed to 180 days.
They own the property and they have no rights. Squatter rights, oxymoron. Squatters have.
Why should there be any timetable? Maybe like in the event that you actually are a legal renter, like you've signed a lease, and then perhaps there should be some sort of rule where like the landlord can't just kick you out in like a day and give you no recourse whatsoever. And this is like
it's hard not to see this and be like, get violent. You know what I mean? Like, but think of it like somebody like is in your property and you
Private
can't
property
do,
rights,
yeah,
defend your property.
yeah,
defend
and
yourself,
just
yeah.
show up with 3 guys, ski masks, and baseball bats and crowbars and remove them. But then you get in even more trouble. It's piss poor policies. This is the Democrats cook this shit up. And actually, I shouldn't even say that because I have no idea who made these squatter rights
Is
laws.
she a
but
Democrat?
yeah,
What
there
would-
was a D in front of her
Yeah,
name. She's from
that's
Queens.
interesting.
Come on.
That's why she's trying to just push it back instead of actually
Yeah.
fixing it. So she can maybe run for re-election next time. Let's another minute here. Let's keep going.
No rights.
Squatters terrified this woman who lived next door to this white stone home, a home they took possession of.
7:30 in the morning, there'd be people on the front lawn drinking beer, smoking pot, different cars from different states showing up, and then license plates being swapped. It was frightening.
Marsha, you can feel the desperation from these homeowners.
So
but-
it's like right there, like it's being used almost with criminal intent,
Yes.
right? Like,
you're not like, we're normal people. Like, like the people who are squatting are not like above board people. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, these are low lives
They're
that do
thieves.
shit like this.
right? They're people who are not going to inherently value private property rights. So my take on how to get them out of there, put violence aside. I actually like the idea of the people who are, having smoking weed and doing all these things. Let's say it was my house, or I've seen a lot of stories. There was one about the migrants who came in, and like the woman's, I think it was like in Long Island or somewhere out there in Long Island City. The woman who her parents died, she inherited the house. She was trying to, like, in that in between phase where it's your parents' house, you don't know what to do with it yet. Maybe you'll sell it, maybe you'll hang on to it. And people just went in there and started
Right.
squatting. And she didn't know, like, she couldn't get out. And then she kind of got upset and got arrested for trying to, like, kick them out of there. That's not the right move. The right move is you wheel in a keg with like 15 guys from the Legion of Doom, or like, and you throw
A
an
rager.
rager, right? Bring the pot. Like, you guys want to smoke pot? We're gonna smoke some fucking pot, right? And you just take 2 weeks off, take your 2-week vacation, right? And we'll see how long the squatters like hang out, something like that. That's a creative way, maybe, to kick them out of there.
So you want a creative way to
Yeah,
get
go ahead.
them
I want to
out?
hear your personal story.
So this isn't a personal story, but this is a story I heard on, because in my family there is income properties and was income properties that were sold, and there was potential squatting problems and all this stuff that were resolved. Now, they didn't go about doing this, but this is a story, and this is a pretty solid idea. So even though squatters have rights, owners have rights. So as an owner, you could go there and just be like, "Oh, I'm not kicking you out, but I'm going to store this in the garage." So what this guy did was he bought 8 pythons.
Oh my God.
Okay. And stored them. He didn't tell them because he doesn't need to tell the squad. They're not
Gotcha.
talking to each other. And he put it in a back room or in the garage. He just left the lid open. And the biggest problem is they only found 6 out of the 8.
Yeah.
But once these people realized that there's snakes in the house, they left immediately.
Oh yeah, that's
And-
creative. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Now they're gone. Now they're gone. My thing though is like, the one question, I guess I should have looked this up before we spoke about it, was like, these squatters eventually have to leave to go out. You know what I mean? Like, I would just like catch them in the parking lot at the grocery store,
but I'm
the
sure-
gas
I
station.
gather to think that most of these people who are homeowners have jobs and lives and things, and they probably don't
Yeah.
have the time to do it.
Well, at
I will-
some point though,
yeah.
you gotta
You gotta do
get
something
prepared
about
to
it.
go to
Yeah.
war, so.
I'd take my position and I'd take 2 weeks off vacation. Hey guys, what are you doing? Let's get a keg down by in our place on Gun Hill Road. We used to get
Yeah.
the kegs from that guy Mike,
Yes.
like $90. Yeah, it was drinking all
Show up
weekend.
and just go ballistic.
Man, the pythons, that is creative. I will say, when I was a kid, I used to work, like a camp counselor at a summer camp, and I used to work in the nature department,
Mhm.
and there was ball pythons and things that I'd help take care of. And the guy's name was Saji, who was in charge of the nature department. Great guy. He would bring the animals home after camp was over, and he brought them all home. He took care of them all the whole off season. He was a teacher and
A
like
nut
was
job, got
into
it, yeah.
that sort of stuff. And one of the pythons got out of the
Did
the
it need
tank.
him?
No, it didn't need him. It got into the walls.
Yeah,
And
that's
it
what
was
they
gone
do.
for months. It got into the walls. He eventually found it like 9 months later, and it grew like quadruple the size. Those things could live like in between the studs in the insulation and like feed off of mice. things like that. They actually might be good. Hey, there's a big rat problem in New York City. Maybe we kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
So you know what? You get rid of all the rats in your house.
It's just a crazy thing, man. Could be a lot of comparisons here with these sorts of things back to Marxism and the Soviet Union. What you're seeing in America, man, Stalin was, when he's trying to constitute the Soviet Union, they took over all these satellite states with different cultures and ethnicities. Latvia, Poland, still seeing the Ukraine. You still, although Vladimir Putin would contest if Ukraine's a real place or not. But these places have different cultures and traditions and values, and they even look different, right? So when you're trying to forge this huge empire under your boot of people who are different and might have different ethnicities and cultures and things, like how do you get them to bend the knee to you? Well, what Stalin did was he flooded the zone with ethnic Russians. So Soviet Union, Joseph Stalin, he don't give a fuck. March with the Red Army, people from Moscow, ethnic Russians. March them at gunpoint or just encourage them, like, do you want to go and we'll give you some state-funded land in Latvia, and we'll move millions of people into the zone in that area so that the area changed the demographic of that area so that it's easier to subdue the population, assimilate, erode their values, traditions, customs, right? Keep that all in mind.
Isn't that why Ilham Omar got elected? Because she's Somalian, and didn't Obama take all the Somalian refugees and put them in her hometown where she got elected?
I don't know. I don't know if Obama took them. I know that there's a big Somalian.
That's what I'm pretty sure. That's kind of
community
what
there
happened
in Minnesota.
That's the reason why she won.
I don't know if that's exactly how it played out. Now in America, there's always been this kind of idea or thing that happens where immigrants come and they settle in certain areas. We just did a whole bunch of Italian shit. A lot, Chas Palminteri Cologino, his father came. Ellis Island, settled in the city. My father, came over.
My grandparents.
Ellis Island, he settled in the Bronx. They America, especially in areas like New York City, these cultural neighborhoods. And I think that's cool. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That kind of happened a little bit organically. However, America was the land of opportunity, and the places and people were leaving Europe after wars and shit like that. And people are leaving South America and whatnot because of wars that for the most time we cause and we destabilize areas.
CIA.
But the way I look at it is we almost have an inverse Stalin scenario here, where Stalin was taking his people and pushing them out of his country and into other places to subdue them. We have the same concept, but in the inverse.
Backwards. Yeah.
We're taking people from elsewhere and importing them in here, and the people don't share our traditions, customs, values. They don't value private property. All of these things. That doesn't mean all of them are bad. That doesn't mean all of them are good either, right? There's some of them that are doing stuff like this, and that is going to be another check mark +1 in the list of things that are eroding our inherent liberty values that we have here.
I'm sure we've spoken about. I know we've spoken about it. The Great Replacement Theory. The Democrats, the powers that be, have fucked around so much that they can't even screw the normal communities that they've been screwing over for 50 plus decades or so, that they need to now ship in new voters to replace us because too many people have woken up.
Again, and that's become a dirty term.
I don't care. I will be as dirty and racist as I need to be. Because now look what's going to happen when there's the census, the census,
right?
And every blue state gets a million more electoral votes because we count everyone, not just citizens. And then the landscape is changed forever.
Yeah, I don't think you even need to. Yeah, there's some merit to that, of course, especially with the census part, because representation based on population.
All immigrants, they're allowed to get weapons now. They don't serve any time in jail, no bail. They're getting debit cards with money on it. They're getting put up with hotels and food. They are being catered to hand and foot. And word to the wise, any illegal criminals that are watching this, I doubt you are, because we're not your cup of tea. The Democrats are going to pull the rug out from you eventually. Trust me, they will. That's the whole plan.
They'll be the next, in 10, 15 years, they'll be the next right-wing extremists. A lot of the Mexican guys that I'm friends with, that I've worked with in the past, who've been here for a long time, and they didn't necessarily come over here in legal fashion. They're hardworking, good dudes, Like they ain't about this fucking shit. They're now concerned, like, oh my God, like, well, we kind of did it the wrong way, but now we came over here and we assimilated, we're working hard and whatnot. And they kind of like the idea of like freedom and liberty
they
and prosperity. And they're like, no, people are going to ruin this for us.
They came over here and started working and had to find some cheap place to live. While now everybody comes over and here's your debit card. Go to the hotel over here.
There's just this is so very obviously not organic and created. There's a lot of incentives, even things around like how Venezuelans, like they don't want Venezuelans coming here. Well, why don't they want Venezuelans coming? Those people are fleeing from that sort of scenario. They're probably more willing to be critical about.
Think how quickly our government would kill Cubans.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, right.
They would sink that island before take all those immigrants over here.
It just seems invented. It seems incentivized. And again, it's not a dirty racist thing. It's not a crazy conspiracy theory because it's happened in the past. There's examples I just pointed to, like in the Soviet Union. I don't know.
Look,
it's something.
It's only a racist thing because people on CBS and MSNBC and all that shit say it is. And just because they say it is doesn't mean it is.
So how does it get fixed, right? We have Trump, who's obviously running for president. I'm sure everybody's aware. And he's saying that he's going to, carry out the largest deportation operation ever recorded. What do you think about that? And the likelihood of, let's say my prediction for the year turns out and he actually wins and they kind of back off during the election and he actually ends up winning. What do you think about that? How does that play out in your mind?
I think that's something he'll take a shot at. It's hard to say because we only had one term of Trump, and for the most part, he did make a lot of promises that he did keep. There are stuff that he said he would do that he didn't do. Fair, I will throw that out there. I think this is something plausible that he could do. I don't know how you find everybody. The logistics of it is beyond me. But remember the union guy from ICE or the border or whatever? He's like, all we got to do is just use the laws that are on the books. Yeah. So at least like if at the border we turn the faucet off, then turn our focus inwards to deport, I think it's going to be possible. But the left and the media is going to make it into the biggest racist bloodbath there is. And I think by summertime, Trump's eventually going to have to start seriously campaigning. And I have full faith that he will, even with everything that's going on. And that's when the media is really going to sink their teeth in. And as he starts, I have a funny feeling in the summer, we're going to see riots again. BLM will be back, or ILM, Immigrants Lives Matter, or some shit like that.
The invited, they're now calling them, or like the, I forgot what they call them.
Undocumented.
No, not even
misplaced.
Like the misplaced or the newcomers.
Yeah.
That's what they're calling them now. The newcomers,
I could
changing of language around the whole thing.
I could see, Chicagoans and New Yorkers just getting fed up. And one day on a train, some white Marine kills some immigrant and he's the next George Floyd. And then we have millions of military-aged men, immigrants, rioting in the streets, all to cause a distraction. And then the pallets of bricks show up again. And the garbage cans of bats and pieces of wood show up again. I could see that playing out. It's going to be dirty, but do I think Trump will take a shot at it and do it? Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to say no because I have no
speculation prediction.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm a Trump supporter, so of course I'm going to say yes. But logistically, like if you just stay like moving around, like so you came through El Paso, you got shipped up to Chicago. Now you're getting deported. So let's move over to North Dakota. Now let's come down to Arizona or whatever.
Sanctuary city thing.
Yeah, you just move around. Yeah.
We'll see. It's gonna be an interesting time. It's an interesting time right now. I mean, every day there's some sort of fucking biblical thing going on. But I don't know if I don't know if doing it outright will work because of the poor optics that will come from it. They'll be like, oh my God, it's they're putting people on the trains and they're sending them off again.
My heart of heart has always come in guns blazing. So, I mean, like day one, like ICE is out there dragging people out of the homes on camera. People are crying. They have scratch marks in the floor and stuff. Remember like in Spider-Man 2 when Doc Ock becomes active and that the doctor is scratching into the table. She gets pulled away. That's what that would be my go-to way to do this. Literally flinging them back over the border.
Holds bar.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would work. I'm not saying I don't disagree.
It would be a PR
I feel
disaster.
like, so the white pill, like, how do you get out of this? I feel like perhaps doing what the regime does is like to be slick about what they're trying to do, where you don't do some like over the top, bombastic, flashy raid that gets televised and then you get spun as Hitler 2.0 again for the trillionth time. I think perhaps like even almost culture for like the police and certain federal authorities becomes acceptable for them to just enforce the law again. And then like let's say one of these people gets pulled over, driving, and hey, you're under arrest, and then you actually get deported, and then quietly over time that occurs. And I could see my God, the gaslighting out of this. Like California or New York Governor Hochul has now shown that she's not above using the National Guard. I could see like those states using the National Guard, right? Like we're not going to enforce these deportation things, right? So if you push too hard, they might respond with something like that. And the gaslighting, they're like, well, you just used the National Guard in Texas, right? So now you're a hypocrite because you know what I mean? I could see that happening.
I got a question for you. Finish your thought. And then
I'm just saying I could see that gaslighting thing happening in the future, where if Trump does do some sort of mass deportation thing, that they roll out the National Guard. We get even closer to this possible conflict in that scenario. I don't know where the National Guard would fall on that. But they're probably just going to follow orders.
I don't think that would lead to. I think if Trump's in office, I don't think it would kick off a civil war. It'd prolong it probably. If Biden wins again, I could see.
I have my thought back. So I think though, if you start moving things in that direction, where you just kind of quietly enforce the law, people get arrested over time, and then even if they still try and paint you as shipping people off in the carts like Hitler again or something like that, and the blue areas do try to like kind of really reinforce we're a sanctuary place, and people start fleeing to them. I think it's pretty evident now that the local populations in that area don't like that.
It's not going to take it.
Right. And you might now reach a point where like you've woken up enough local people that you won't have popular support amongst that part of your local population. Now, everything is a numbers game. Right at the end of the day, most things are enforced at the barrel end of a gun. We're getting into an interesting time, my friend. How will that play out? I don't know, but it is very interesting to see how it will in the next. We'll have a lot of shit to talk about.
My question for you, okay, it's August. Biden rolls out an executive order. There's no fixing the immigration crisis. You're all citizens. Blanket immunity. You are now American citizens. Go get your driver's license. I don't care what the state says. Go get your driver's license. Go get your social security card. Go buy your guns. Go register to vote. You are now Americans. So now they're Americans for August, September, October, November. That's what, 4 or 5 months. Now Trump's in office by January. These people have been Americans for over 6 months. This, that, blah, blah, blah. Now you're painted as an even more un-American human being trying to kick out Americans.
Right.
Think of the mental gymnastics that the media will do because they will see these people as staunch, cult, like red-blooded Americans. So what do you think happens then?
God, it's like the $1 million question, dude. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I think that's a pretty goddamn slick, like there's a good word, way to go about it. I think that also sets the groundwork for like possible impeachment in the future as well, right? Let's say Trump then comes up with something to override that or something. Oh, it's unconstitutional. Now we're all constitutional Republic scholars. In the Senate and the House, and we need to run another impeachment.
And think of it. Now you have 7 million new voters that are voting for you to try and beat out Trump. If Trump wins, it could become a constitutional crisis. I see it's more likely that there's blanket immunity coming before the election.
Here's probably something that won't be very popular, but do you think it just makes sense at that point to just let it go?
No.
And now from here on out, like let it go. The people who cut the line and made it in, let it go, build the wall, enforce the law, just try to reclaw back the culture and things like that over time. Like
sensibly, yes. Sensibly,
there's no, as Thomas Sowell will say, there's only trade-offs,
Sensibly, yes, but politically, from someone that leans more to the right politically? No, because here on out for a very long cycle, no Republican, no right winger, no MAGA America First person is ever going to win again with this new increased large voting base. Biggest problem why Democrats always win and that Republicans don't encroach on blue states and blue cities is because, you know, Democrats had such a stronghold on the black community forever and ever. And the Democrats have done so little for that community. They promise them the world. They give them nothing. They were pro-slavery back in the day. They started the KKK back in the day, but no one talks about that. No one believes it. You know what I mean? Like, so if they just let it go, and I could see why, like, instead of just making this mess, okay, you cut the line, you got it. You know, like when you get kicked out of a bar and you sneak back in and the bouncer's like, God damn it. All right, just stay. Don't cause any trouble, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just give up.
And you'll have
like,
a good time the rest of the night from there on out.
You know what I mean? Like, I could see why, but like voting and politics will never, ever be the same again. And it's only going to compound this problem, which has been compounded a million X even more.
Yeah. I wish I had a perfect answer. I wish I had. I don't have
Nukes.
anything. I don't
Nukes.
know.
Nukes.
No, you know, I got children now. Don't want nukes. You know, I don't have a perfect answer, man, but it is an interesting brain teaser to figure out how does society resolve that issue. And if what you're saying is right, like I see what you're laying caution, like that could forever alter. Like we're saying,
that's the idea of
it's
it.
right. You're right. Yeah, in a sense, it is almost kind of enshrining what they've been trying to do now, like dropping the hammer on it. Yeah. Maybe so I don't know what's going to happen, but maybe we could just speculate. Right? This has been a speculation episode. Maybe Trump does go with the nuclear option in that scenario. And they look, there's nothing we can do besides jackboot shit.
Yeah, well,
and
we're safe.
Whoever like on paper got those amnesty things, because I would gather that has to be somewhere documented. Like these undocumented people will become documented.
Yeah,
there'd be a paper trail. Well, let's.
That's the one thing we can count on in America.
How about this? All the IRS agents that they're hiring, we retask them into figuring reverse engineering that paperwork and find everybody. And you got your papers, get your bag. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's the way to play out, man.
All right, so I got one more topic for us.
And then we got tweets of the week, which are applicable tonight, and we'll wrap it up.
I want to talk about Diddy again. I'm not done talking about Diddy.
Fair enough.
It's why isn't this man been arrested? Why is this man still walking? You're hitting the mouse and the thing's going crazy. It was the keyboard. You went down like 500 pages. You know, when truckers in Canada gathered to show disdain for the vaccine, their bank accounts were cut off. When Donald Trump spoke on January 6th, his First Amendment was taken away. Anybody during the COVID era who went against the narrative was censored and silenced, and our rights were infringed upon continuously. Here is a musical elite who is wealthy beyond belief, who is now literally caught red-handed. Trump gets raided, and he's looking at 700 years in prison. Diddy is partying. Why is this man not in jail? Where is the FBI? Why are they not garnishing his wages? Why are they not going after his bank accounts? Why does he still have a social media account? Why is he still running several businesses? Why is he still running a record label? How like if you look, this is such a good conversation to have with the common man who doesn't think the justice system is a two-tiered system where it's not a witch hunt for Donald Trump, because you put Trump in it and everything gets distorted. So, okay, we're going to take politics out. This isn't about right versus left anymore. This is about a celebrity elite that is clearly doing illegal shit, and he gets to run free. We can finally take the politics out of this two-tier justice system conversation. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
Can anybody explain this to me?
It's for years we've seen the the move away from innocent until proven guilty. We've
Mhm.
seen it move away from that, where now it's become almost like guilty until proven innocent.
Depending on who you voted for.
Yeah, right. But but you see how that's still applicable, right? Like in this scenario, that doesn't apply. Like even the old leftist logic around these sorts of things, like, well, if you're like a rich person and you commit a crime, like you show up in a suit and tie. Like there was the old Chappelle skit on the Chappelle show. You remember that, where like they did the inverse. Dave Chappelle did the inverse, where he was like a gangster drug dealer, and it was like reverse world or something like that. And it's like, here's how the law would get applied to black people, and like the cops arrested like the white collar suit and tie financial guy, and like they beat him up in the prison cell and all that stuff. And then like Tyrone Biggums, the crack that had dealer, he got like I'll turn myself in tomorrow at like 3 p.m. and the cops were like, "Hey, you sure?" Like no rush or anything like that. Like how about that?
Yeah.
Like in this, Diddy is one of the elite. He's rich. He is a privileged person, but I guess, the woke hierarchy of oppression, the woke hierarchy of oppression here probably applies. Those are some things to think about. All of this, the erosion of individual liberties, and like some people are in, some people are in the in group of the regime, some people are not.
And to continue on,
What a crazy thing too. He's being accused of human trafficking.
Yes.
My God.
And so now
is he not trafficking anymore now?
Right. And so now a movie comes out about child trafficking, and it is deemed like a threat to democracy. The Silence of Freedom. Go watch it.
Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom. Sorry. And it's I'm gonna confirm my own conspiracy here, but like a movie comes out making people aware of human trafficking and sex trafficking, and in the media it's demonized. We knew Jeffrey Epstein was doing this. We knew celebrities like Bill Gates was on these airplanes along with Bill Clinton. We knew the Clintons had a relationship with Epstein. We knew terrible things were going on the island. FBI has flash drives, hard drives, photos, journals, video evidence. No one has been arrested for this. Movie comes out, demonized. Diddy is in trouble for just about pretty much exactly the same thing. Still gets to run around and be a millionaire free. So how come, whether you're a politician or an elite or a billionaire, if you are secretly underground trafficking people of any sorts for any reason, there's no warpath going on, but if you try to prevent it, you're demonized?
Yeah, as I said in a tweet,
can you guys hear me scratching my head for the people who are not watching?
QAnon aged better than Russiagate over the past couple of years. Yeah, I think people just got to continue banging away and pointing these things out, especially if you're running for president. I'm thinking back to when we were at the LPCT convention. There was like the after party portion of it, and we were sitting down, got to meet some of the candidates and things like that.
That was so much talking.
There was a lot of talking. So we sat down. Like if you're running for president, especially in one of these third party things, let me give you the libertarian angle of this. Your only real thing you're doing is like a speaking tour, right? In that regard. And I remember sitting down with Jacob Hornberger. He like sat down next to us to eat with us. And I don't know how the fuck we got on this topic of conversation, but it was like a couple of us sitting there. We started talking about the Sound of Freedom. And Jacob Hornberger had no idea what the fuck we were talking about. No idea, right? He hadn't heard of the movie, hadn't heard of any of the concepts or like the human trafficking things or anything like that. And like us and our buddy Ryan were like going back and forth about it. Jacob Hornberger sitting there, hey, I never heard of that. He just like gets up and walks away and like leaves. Like, we wore him out. So if you're running on like a third party platform, like you need to, that's like disqualifying. That you don't know any of that stuff, or even about like the movie. Like that was such a politically charged topic, and you got to be on these things and pointing them out at least in a third party race. So I don't know. It just came to mind. I thought that was a bit odd, and there's that to keep in mind if you're on the LP ticket. I'm trying to.
That's been my rant all week, seeing that just Diddy is getting away with everything. But if you're a fucking trucker in Canada and you didn't want to take a untested drug, you lost your bank account. But this guy can sex traffic.
He's probably doing it, or maybe he's laying off a little bit now, lay the heat off. But
it's funny, like all the stuff about him, like
sued for defamation here by P. Diddy.
I mean, it's funny, like, you know, he bangs all his rappers and stuff like that, but like, it's not a crime to be gay. I don't care.
Oh,
what a
dude, that
sex-
video. My bad to cut you off, but that video of
Him and
Odell
Meek
Beckham.
Mills? Oh.
No, Odell Beckham Jr. Who
With,
there? I'm now seeing things that of Odell Beckham Jr. that I never fucking noticed before. Boy, there were some weird things. And his mom. His mom was wearing a see-through shirt and tits were visible, and he said he was out date night with his mom. Plus, Justin Bieber looked like he was blowing him.
Yeah,
Jesus,
I mean,
what is going on out there? There's a lot of weird shit.
Think how. So I've been trying to tell people this. You don't become fit. See, the problem with podcasting, and I don't discredit Joe Rogan, but Joe Rogan's been famous for a long time, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did do something. But there's always the talk of, okay, you know, like what that Cat Williams interview. You want a 10-movie deal. All right, this dude's going to come in the room and he's going to suck your dick. And we're going to put it on camera and you're going to have gay blackmail against you. Well, Ludacris got a 10-movie deal with Fast and Furious and Cat Williams didn't. Problem with podcasting is we could put this stuff out on the internet every week and become super popular and super relevant and organically become famous without having to suck dick or anything like that. Yes, we get shadow.
You mean tell me you don't like sucking dick?
No, that leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Unlike these cigars.
Yeah. And you know, so think of like, so I've been trying to say, like, you have to do some type of dark, devious, demonic act
to get in,
into this in group. So think of just what Taylor Swift has done to become this level of famous.
Yeah, we haven't even got to that part yet.
Right. Now, if we are big Giants fans, we're originally from New York, Odell Beckham was a goddamn savior to our team for a while. He was, but like this kid went from LSU to superstardom. It's actually what ruined him.
Mm-hmm.
I say he became so famous he didn't need football anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly where he's at right now.
Same thing that happened with Victor Cruz. When Victor Cruz broke his leg, what was he doing on Instagram? Partying with Drake and buying Jordans. Get in the fucking.
Never seen any. Let's be nice to Victor Cruz. Never seen anything weird out of him.
Right,
though,
but what I'm saying though is, think how famous and popular Odell got, and who was on that boat from the second the Giants sunk? Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
Whose idea was it to go party in Miami? Odell Beckham. He did something. He's partying with Diddy. He did something to get in that occult.
I like how you tied that all together. You tied the whole human trafficking thing back to the 2016 boat thing where that sank the Giants' playoff chances that year. So real quick before it goes out, so let's go all the way back to the cigar review. And I did say that the sign of a good cigar is if you don't have to ash it and the fucking ash just hangs on forever. Look at that right there.
Yeah, but
you see that? Look
same
at that.
Cigar, and I've been laying mine
My
down,
hands are
and they've
hot
been
now.
falling off.
Yeah, well, I've been cautious with it, but yeah, my hands are hot and I can't really smoke anymore. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah,
these are all interesting things you're pointing out, man. I'm seeing a lot of weird shit for people I used to really like Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah,
I think
anybody that's famous, man, they did something, and they also sacrificed somebody. Everybody always loses a family member.
Eclipse is coming.
Mm-hmm.
Try not to get too much on the Eclipse thing, and we'll move on to tweets of the week, and we'll wrap this up here. But going into the Eclipse, a good movie I will recommend for everyone to watch is Apocalypto. It was produced and I think directed by Mel Gibson, and touches a little bit on Eclipse and sacrifice and things like that later. Go check that out in the next couple of days if you have never seen it. So, tweets of the week.
Yeah, I think I only got one or maybe two. I don't know.
I got three. It's funny because one of them they are applicable today, and one of them, man, is like hit the nail on the head. No. One of them hit the nail on the head almost like exactly to what you said. Okay. I'll go to my first one here. So they are topical on the earthquake, and
I knew you were going to have this one.
Oh, hang on. I have sorry, folks. I got to get used to the StreamYard thing. Moving from OBS.
Has anybody commented?
I don't know. We'll see. So my first tweet of the week is by the Babylon Bee, and it says, "Earthquake as Jews dig tunnels too deep and unearth a Balrog." I was in a meeting today when I saw this, and I almost burst out laughing in the meeting, referencing the the Brooklyn synagogue that had that tunnel thing going on a couple of weeks ago. Man, that one fucking made me laugh.
You know, I was in a meeting one time, and I was on my phone, and I shouldn't have been. And I saw a video of a little chihuahua that ate a whole tray of pot brownies, and it was laying in a puddle of drool. And boy, did that make me burst out laughing.
Yeah.
All right, this is a video. Can you play it with the sound?
I should be able to.
All right, so this is
The shit out of me.
This is a Joe Biden campaign ad.
With the president visiting 8 swing states in just 18 days. Throughout the month, Biden has crisscrossed the country.
And the music is Donald Trump playing golf.
Visiting the Southwest, the Blue Wall of the South. His campaign stops have focused on border security, reproductive rights, lowering health care and housing costs, as well as celebrating CHIPS. Eight swing states in just 18 days.
This was one of the most pathetic things I've ever seen. I'm pretty sure I left a comment telling Joe to get a grip. He's been on the beach every weekend in Delaware since he started his
Summertime.
presidency.
That's a good ad because it's so laughably, like, transparently wrong that that's probably gonna have a reverse effect, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
You know, even the that video of Trump hitting the golf balls there, that was from a long time ago, and I remember people made a meme or like a meme video of him hitting the golf balls, and it was when Biden fell down the steps.
Yeah,
and
you mean fell up the steps.
Fell up the steps. Sorry. All right, my next tweet of the week is by Rob Schneider, who is a great follow on Twitter. Rob Schneider says, "Dear Jordan." Now he's referencing, I think, Jordan Peterson. And he goes, "You are sadly mistaken. The Japanese beheaded my uncle John Monroe when he was 15 years old in 1942 during their occupation of the Philippines. Yet their brutality did not need the U.S. to nuke non-military civilian targets. The firebombing of Japanese cities was a war crime. Either we, the U.S., stand for something more than equalizing barbarism, or we become what we loathe." I picked this one out. It's tweet of the week. He tweeted this recently. Kind of points back to our Oppenheimer debate with Vinny I was trying to make this exact point. Rob Schneider's also trying to make the same exact point. Reason why this is coming up is because Oppenheimer just premiered or is premiering in Japan. So it kind of popped up again. And like this whole concept of was it right? Was it wrong to use the nukes? Thought that was a really interesting and good tweet by Rob Schneider. All right.
Did it drop unannounced?
Did he? What do you mean?
Did Oppenheimer drop unannounced?
No, I think they knew. It was controversial like that, showing in Japan. All right, so this tweet, funny. This is by Insurrection Barbie. This is almost exactly what you said before. Did you see this tweet, perhaps? No. Insurrection Barbie says, "Funny, I don't see anyone trying to debank Diddy. He hasn't been removed off of social media. I don't see his music being pulled from Spotify or his merchandising deals being canceled. Kind of like they did overnight with Kanye or Mike Lindell."
Oh, this is a tweet that I've seen.
Yeah. Or the truckers protesting the vax. Yeah. Mike Lindell. How about even Kanye, right? What did Kanye said? That thing about going DEFCON, right? And they debanked him and all that stuff. Yeah. But you could, run it.
Perfect example. Kanye didn't even
do anything.
He
just said
commit
something.
A crime.
He just said something.
Yeah. He used his First Amendment speech and they took everything from him.
Right.
Here's a man, Diddy, who is actually committing crimes and he's still
allegedly
free.
Involved in a human trafficking operation, and he's faced no accountability yet so far. Something we shouldn't even forget about, right? Perhaps it'll just disappear out of the news and become an afterthought later. Who knows?
50 Cent will never let us.
Yeah, that's true. We got 50 on the side of that one. All right, this is my last one, and this is a good one. This is from Christina Amira Khalil, who is running for office apparently in New Jersey. And she says, "I experienced my first earthquake in New Jersey. We never get earthquakes. The climate crisis is real. The weirdest experience ever." This one was so bad it actually got a community note that New Jersey sits on a fault line, has nothing to do with climate change. So Christina here, I did do a little cursory research on her. She's running as a Green Party person, so she's like a good old-fashioned tree hugger type leftist. Earthquakes are climate change. Now, the ground moving has something to do with climate change. You should vote for more government so that the government can control the moving of the tectonic plates of the earth. Is essentially that's how this moves down the line later, which is kind of insinuated. I'm not. I mean, are you surprised by something like that at this point in time?
No, I'm not. But I mean, the earthquake is the last thing I associate climate change with. A super hot summer, or
climate change is even if you believe in climate change, this is just pathetically ridiculous. Climate change is happening above ground in the atmosphere, like it's inherently tied to the atmosphere and the composition, by at least by their logic, and the melting of the ice caps and this and that. What does the tectonic plates every once in a while moving and shaking have to do with us burning fossil fuels into the atmosphere?
We didn't pay enough taxes, so New Jersey tried splitting itself in half.
I guess so. Maybe not a bad idea. Although this earthquake was nearby Garrett, so we don't want him to fall into into the crevasse.
It sucked that an earthquake didn't happen while we were doing
Yeah,
this live.
maybe it did. Who knows? They were that light. Yeah,
I don't know. But anything else, my friend?
That's it.
All right, Doom Nation. I hope you guys enjoyed our cigar review. Go check out our new wine review, Chaz Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We will be having a live episode Monday night about the eclipse and all the conspiracies with it. Thank you very much. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Adios.